his creative journey. So let's welcome Salvin.
Oh my goodness, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Opeyemi. Good evening. I am so excited to be here. And thank you to Esther Atinuke. Am I right?
Yes.
I especially loved your quote on Walt Disney that there are more treasures in books than in any treasure loot in Treasure Island. Treasure Island is one of my favorite adventure books of all time. So when she made that quote, I got really excited. And people who see me right now know this is how I look when I'm excited about something. So thank you very much for your lovely presentation and also your reference to Midas Touch by Robert Kiyosaki and President Trump. I especially enjoyed that book and how it worked on the theme that I'll be covering today. So, if you're watching this right now, it is safe to assume that you find reading important or you have accepted that reading is something that matters in today's world, even if you might not be exactly where you wish to be in your reading journey, right? The title for my little discussion is Books as a Tool for Building Creative Power. I'm Salvin Sawyer. I'm a busy creator and I am a huge lover of speculative fiction. When I say speculative fiction, I'm talking science fiction, things that make you say what if, the things that make you wonder beyond, just what everyday life gives you. I wish to share three key ideas. I repeat, three key ideas to build your creative power through books. And I think this calls for definition. Your creative power is your innate ability for you to take your imagination and turn it into something tangible or a tangible reality, right? Through imagination or through action. So, like I said, I'll be sharing three key ideas to build your creative power. Key number one, stories give your imagination a full workout. And I know some of you might be wondering, what does workout have to do with reading? A lot of people read today, like Atinuke mentioned, Esther rather mentioned, she said a lot of people read just for escapism, right? Just for passive entertainment, right? However, I want you to look at your brain as a gym. Before I further that analogy, I'm going to give you an experience of mine. In October 2023, right, I went to the gym one morning and while I was all sweaty doing my first set of reps, I met this man at the gym, right? From his upper body, he looked very huge. And you'd be like, this is the kind of muscle you want to build, for yourself, since that's why you're going to the gym as a guy. And then it turns out that when you look past his upper body to his lower body, this guy is literally a Johnny Bravo character. I don't know how many of you knows Johnny Bravo, that cartoon character I watched when we were little. If you know Johnny Bravo, please comment in the comment section. Let me see. All right, I'm coming. Give me a second. All right. So Johnny Bravo is this huge character. He has a huge upper body and has tiny sticks for legs. And this was what this man was. So although he was building his muscle, right, he was not exactly building all his muscles. There's something in the dictionary called a crossfit, right? A crossfit is basically a high intensive um, sport that draws in different exercises from different sports. So you do your leg day from football, you do your arm workouts from javelin, you get so it melanges a lot of exercises from different sports together. And that is what is usually recommended for gyms, right? Esther says she knows Johnny Bravo. Thank God I'm not alone in this. So, just like every person going to build their physical body are supposed to work out using the CrossFit mentality, the same is for building your mental fortitude. What do I mean? A lot of people today, okay, so there are basically three types of people. There are the non-readers, there are the non-fiction readers, and there are the fiction readers, right? So the non-readers are the ones who don't even, their mental muscle is next to nothing. You usually hear them saying a lot of lousy things in public. Like there's one that met me one day while I was reading outside and said, "You're reading, isn't that gay?" And I was like, how can somebody say that in big 2026, right? And then there are the non-fiction readers. No offense, but you lot build only one muscle at a time. So what non-fiction does is it builds your analysis skills, your knowledge, it builds your self-awareness skill, but it's one muscle at a time, right? However, fiction, on the other hand, builds all your muscles, all your muscles. It's like a CrossFit, right? So as you take your mental health seriously, you don't want to forget reading. Reading fiction is what I'm recommending tonight, and I want you to leave with that at the back of your thoughts. When I started this point, I said stories give your imagination a full workout. So I hope you see that in view. Fiction gives me certain kinds of creative muscles that I didn't know that I even needed, right? I want you to do something if you're watching me right now. I want you to type yes in the chat if a story ever changed how you saw a real life situation. If a story has ever changed the way you saw a real life situation. So the point two here is stories train the what if thinking that powers original creativity. Stories train the what if thinking that powers creativity. Remember, the theme or the title here is focusing on how to build your creative power. So, since I am recommending fiction, fiction builds your what if ability. I'm going to explain this questions. They always like to ask questions over and over again. Like one of my little sisters when she was younger, there are two questions, especially that I can still remember she used to ask. One is, why is the sky blue? I mean, how do I even want to begin answering that, for crying out loud? Why is the sky blue? Another question is, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing? It might sound like a childish question, but stop to think about it. Now, how does it relate to books, right? Questions like the ones I have just listed, they train your creativity. They help you ponder and wonder how you would behave in certain situations. Think about aeroplanes for a second. Probably in the 17th century or something, a man was just seated at the corner of his universe and decided, hey, what if people, hundreds of people, could travel in the air faster to other continents safely? Obviously, if you're a passerby in that age and time, you probably look at him and say, what sort of witchcraft would that be? And it will be funny, everybody would laugh around and joke. When was the last time you went outside? Airplanes are the normality of the day. We see it and we don't even think about the intricacies of it. So what has happened is that someone has been able to actualize such an unimaginable thing that has been imagined and then made it a reality, a vivid reality. This is using your creative power, and this is what well-crafted stories from fictional books help to achieve, right? Big innovators credit stories for their, for most of their biggest leaps, and we have the likes of Elon Musk, whom I truly admire. You see, when whenever he's talking about some of his inventions, he usually credits science fiction or some other form of fiction out there that ensures you to use that part of your creativity that may currently be laying dormant. Because as much as humans currently use 10% of their brain, I do not believe every human uses 10% of their brain. So books ensure that at least you are using the best you can use. Point 3, small daily habits multiplies your creative output. I repeat, small daily habits multiply your creative output. Now, we live in a world where people do not have time for books, or rather, where people tell themselves they do not have time for books. And I'm sure you, yes, you right now listening to me, you usually tell yourself, I'm too busy, I don't have time for books. But the truth might actually be far from the case, because nobody's going to laugh at you today when you say you didn't read 10 books in the last quarter. And I feel like that is the problem, not the laughing, but the fact that it is a normalcy. Because the truth is, when you do not do a particular habit that helps you grow, you automatically replace it with something less. And that is a fact. You can look that up. For instance, if you are not reading with your time, it's either you're doing something else with it, either you're doom scrolling. I think Atinuke Esther mentioned the other time that she usually watches creators on Instagram and YouTube, and these creators read. And I really like that point, because yes, they read. But you who consume, yeah, let me tell you the difference. You might feel like you are consuming good content, right? Since I did not all good content. You're not consuming people dancing your on your phone or laptop. You are listening to people who are saying smart stuff, right? But here's the difference between reading and listening or watching those people. Your brain is drained in the doom scrolling. That's one. Then the ideas that are being pushed out to you, don't forget your algorithm knows what you are currently watching, and they will always push out things you are currently watching. So the ideas that are being sent to you by these creatives are going to be regurgitated. You know, when you vomit here, the thing that has been inside is what comes out. So you keep getting the same message over and over and over. And when you really ask yourself, honestly, is that the kind of knowledge consumption you want? Your answer is probably not going to be yes anymore. You want something that not only benefits you temporarily, but also in the long term, right? Also in the long time. So I want you to see reading not as an extra chore to be ticked off your to-do list. I want you to see it as an integral part of yourself. Previously, when I was defining the creative power, I said it is the innate ability to carry the imaginative and then make it a tangible reality, right? So what that means is that if it is not a chore, it is already an innate part of you, something that can be built from inside, right? I want you to see it as a 15 to 20 minutes phone charger that helps you to recharge your brain. And obviously, to be able to do that, you need serious intentionality, right? Intentionality to do what is right. Because it's one thing to know that, oh, reading is actually a very good thing. It's another thing entirely to sit down and hold the book. We are very interested in the fact that we have all these nice plans. That's why you see how January is for a lot of us. We come out with so many brilliant plans. Oh, we'll do this for 6 months. Oh, the other one, I'm going to do it for 1 year straight. How's your April looking like? That thing you said you were going to do, are you still doing it? Is the flame still burning as high? Because the truth of the whole matter is that intentionality out of your plan is just you reciting a lot of nice things you have seen online. Oh, I'm going to be reading every day. You're just listing things, and people like listing out stuff, right? They like being out there to just list, oh, these are my goals, and you unscrew this long list of things that you are going to do, but at the end of the day, nothing to show for it. And I hope none of you watching me right now are going to be in that setting. So what I'm basically saying is make time to read. True, you are busy, but you can always make out time to read. I know a lot of people are saying, what is he talking about? Does he know my routine? Yes, you can make out time to read. Because when you are watching Netflix or you are chatting randomly on WhatsApp, what that means is that something else is being sacrificed. Every day we make decisions, and when we say yes to one thing, we are saying no to another. When we are saying yes to one thing, we are saying no to another. So if you say yes to Netflix, no to books. We're saying yes to texting for long hours on things that you can actually do without. You're saying no to books or no to other things that are currently at the top of the list in your priorities, like personal Bible study or personal self-development, reading, even sequential napping. A lot of times we need sleep to build our creative tools too. So if these priorities cannot be followed intentionally, then what are you doing? So basically, right, because I know a lot of you have questions like, how do I know what to read as a busy person? I just want you to remember that, you know, as a reader, you have the ability to walk in different shoes of different persons, right? You have the ability to see places you will never see and fix problems you may never ever have gotten the opportunity to fix. For example, shout out to Sally and Melia if she's watching this. I think she said she'll be watching this. So if you're watching this, shout out to you. I wanted to mention something from her book titled Born of Empire. It's a series, the Carriager series. You should definitely reach out to her on Instagram to get your copy locally. So in her book, right, a character, a queen, right, in a male-dominated empire, she is a widow and her son has just been kidnapped. And now she's left on the verge of making a decision in a male-dominated empire. So it's either you stay quiet and watch other empires gradually move into your empire, and as you stay there helplessly, they ravage on every single resource your empire has because your king is out of the picture and your son who is supposed to take the throne is on the day the crown goes on his head has been kidnapped. It's either you do that or you know, you follow the second option, which is marry your late husband's wicked brother, who is a general, and let him bring in his Dome militants to protect you, and obviously to search for your son, whom, plot twist, he actually kidnapped. So when you're reading it, it sounds like just a random story, but think about it. If you were in the queen's position, think of the tight decision, the heavy decision you'd be making at that point. Then find a way to apply it into your personal life, right? I know I'm reading fiction, but how would I have reacted if I was in such a tight case? What decision would I have been making? Another book is the one I just finished reading, I think, moments ago here, where the title is Warcross, by the way, by Marilu. It's a duology, which means two books. So the book asks this question in a sense. Imagine if you could stop all crime all over the world at the same time, like you could stop it forever, right? Just with just a flick of the thoughts. But what that means is that you have to manipulate people's thoughts and cross the line of morality, of humanity. Would you still do it? Of course, you are doing a good cause, but like crossing the line of morality, of your humanity, would you still make that hard choice? It is very controversial. It makes you think, makes you self-assess and ask yourself, how would I truly react in this scenario? I know a lot of you are trying to put yourself in this picture. I mean, you have the ability to stop crime. You can cause all those sexual assaulters to commit suicide. You know, a lot of people can turn themselves in at the police station, but you have to strip them of their ability to choose to do what is wrong, thereby, being some form of authoritarian badass ruler. So think about it just for a moment. It might look like a random, interesting story, interesting, but at the end of the day, it makes you ask the what if that I spoke about earlier. The what if. The what if. So, what I was about to say earlier is go to ChatGPT, go to ChatGPT, tell it probably a problem you're trying to solve at the time. Maybe you're having a hard time making friends. Go to it and say, I'm having a hard time making friends. What is a beginner friendly novel that you recommend to me? It may be non-fiction, it may be fiction. Train your creative muscle by reading it. That way, you can solve real life issues while plunging into hundreds of richer minds out there that have written all these things for the benefit of none other than you, the reader. All right. So when you do read these books, I don't want you to stop at it. I want you to share with your friends or your social cycles something new you learned, and some fresher perspectives that you have adopted and have noticed and you think would benefit them. Do you understand me? All right. So I think that is it. Thank you very much for having me on Opemi. I'm so honored. I mean, the intro when I was coming, I had to keep looking over my shoulder. Was that me? Thank you very, very much. And Esther Tunike, your perspectives on leverage and everything regarding books and mentality was beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed it. I took so much notes. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening and for taking your time to hear my voice.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. Like I was just I just have to take myself off the stage because really I took a lot of notes. Thank you. That was brilliant. You see, that is how you know fictional readers. They think differently. And to people that used to think fiction reading is just for fun, it's just for entertainment, Salvin has challenged every one of us that fiction reading is not just for fun.